to use StatCrunch. So this one is building a confidence interval of the population proportion, right? And it gives you some summary data. It gives you the tables if you want to do it by hand, but I want to use StatCrunch. So if I go over here to question help, I can say open StatCrunch. And it opens up StatCrunch. Oh, doesn't realize I'm signed in, so if that happens, just run it again. That does happen sometimes with this for some reason. And always access StatCrunch through the course website. If you try to do it through just the StatCrunch website, it's going to try to get you to log in and buy stuff, but it's already paid for if you use the course website. So I'm building a confidence interval. So if I click on Stat, I have all these calculators here, right? So I have Z stats, T stats, which we'll use in a minute, and proportion stats, because we're doing a proportion problem. And it is one sample. When we get to week 5, it'll be 2 sample. But for now, it's 1 sample, so I click on 1 sample. If I have data, I click with data, but this one I have a summary because someone's already done the descriptive statistics for me. So I will click with summary. Number of success is my X value because that's how many met what we were looking for, so 860. My number of observations is my N, so 1100. Hypothesis testing, that is for next week, but for now we're doing a confidence interval, and I'm doing a 94% confidence, so I just changed my 0.95 to 0.94. We always do standard wall because that's the type of confidence intervals we do. If you want, you can do a plot, so I'll click on plot just so we can see it, then click compute. And you can see it gives you your 860 again, it gives you your total. It gives you your p hat, if you need it. There is our sample proportion. This is our standard of error, which is what we use to calculate margin of error. And then we have our lower limit and upper limit. So the homework asked around 3 decimal places, so 0.758. And my upper limit is 0.805, which is what I have in here. And if I click on it, there is my interval. So somewhere in here, they think is the true proportion, right? I actually put the actual p hat in there, which I usually do not, but they do have our lower and upper limit. So that is the length of the 94% confidence interval. So I'll close that out. And then if we go to question, I think 13, it's got one with data. So I've already done most of this problem because I do the homeworks with you just so I know what type of questions you have. Part A was build a histogram like we did in week 1. Part B is to build a box plot, talk about your graphs, and then part D is to build a 90% confidence interval of the mean tornado length. So if I click on the blue box, I get all my tornado lengths. Then I click on the little blue box and I can open that in StatCrunch. All right, so my data is opened in StatCrunch. Here's where I can do my graphs. So there is my box plot as well as my histogram. So that's where you can do parts A and B. But I'm going to just show how to do, confidence interval. So Z-stats is when you know the population standard deviation, which is very rare, so we're not even going to do those. T-stats is where you use the sample, and since I have a sample data set, I am going to use T-stats. So, and I have only 1 sample, so I'm going to click on 1 sample, and I have data, so I'm going to click with data. I got variable 1. If you wanted, you can come here and change variable 1 to tornado length, and it will label things if you would like it to. Actually, we should, so let me do that, so everybody can see that. I'm going to change this to tornado length, right? And now, when I click on my stat, T-stats, 1 sample with data, and now you can see it says tornado length. Again, I'm doing a confidence interval, a 90%. They got a few other things that you can see. So here's another box plot and histogram, so you can actually do these with these things. So we'll put a box plot. Alrighty, so click compute, make this a little bit bigger. And there I have my 90% of tornado length. There's my X bar, my standard error, which is again to help me to find my margin of error. Basically take the standard error and multiply it by your critical value and you get your margin of error. My degrees of freedom, remember a T is degrees of freedom of n minus 1 for when you have one sample. And there is my length, so 2.57 and 4.155, which rounds up to 4.16. And there you go. There is my box plot. You could have clicked histogram and had all of these built right in one spot for you. So play around with StatCrunch. It is very useful. We will use it a lot in the upcoming weeks. So the sooner you become comfortable with it, the easier some of the assignments may get. All right, email if you have any questions.